Hey guys, we had a comment on one of our YouTube videos asking us to explain how to get into goose hunting and setting up spreads and what to buy. And so we've talked a lot about duck hunting and just hunting in general, but today I'm going to be specific to goose hunting. Most of goose hunting is done in fields, and that's because you're trying to shoot them when they're feeding. So I'm just going to kind of do a quick rundown on what you need to go goose hunting in the field. So you're going to need a hide. And the reason why I say the hide first is because it's the most important. Most people either use layout blinds, A-frames, goose chairs, that's a newer thing that's coming back. Lay down chairs where they're inside of their decoys, that's usually used in sock spreads. So that's something that they use down south, even as far north as Kansas for like snow goose hides and stuff like that. But I'm going to talk specifically about Canada geese. The way that we normally do it up here in Minnesota is we use layout blinds and A-frames. Every 5 to 10 years, it's kind of cyclical. People use A-frames and then geese are really weary of A-frames, and then everyone switches back to layouts, and then everyone switches back to A-frames. I feel like right now we're in a period where everyone's going to be switching back to layouts because A-frames are being used so much. But let me tell you, as you start going through the sport a lot more, you want to have all of these things in your arsenal because sometimes a layout blind is better than an A-frame and vice versa, depending on where you're hunting. Number 2 would be decoys. There's so many products on the market. There's silhouettes, there's full bodies, there's shells, weird ones with stakes on them, the shells with stakes. So don't buy those ones. Here in Minnesota, a lot of people throw out really big spreads. And so the easiest way to throw a big spread is to throw out a bunch of dive bombs, some silhouettes. We have a lot of dive bombs. So on the days where we know we're going to get a huge push of geese, we will throw out dozens and dozens and dozens of dive bombs. And then we will put a bunch of full bodies in the kill hole. But if you're just starting out, I would say probably the best thing to do is to get 5 to 10 dozen silhouettes and probably somewhere between 3 to 6 dozen full bodies. If you're looking to put out a big spread that will command attention of birds flying over. What we also hunt here in Minnesota is a lot of traffic. If you can't get on the X, you want to get underneath the geese going from the roost to the X. And so when you're hunting an X, you want to put out a lot more decoys. Again, situational. I would say pick up a couple dozen avians, GHGs, SX makes a good decoy now, and then I personally really like dive bombs, and so I would use those for decoys these days. You can go on Facebook Marketplace as well, and people are selling decoys left and right. And so if you don't really have a huge budget, you can go on Facebook Marketplace and just get a hodgepodge. So you've got a lot of the gear that you need, which is how to hide from the birds and how to fool the birds. Now you have to figure out where you can hunt and how to get permission. And if you haven't seen already, we actually talked about it in a different video on how to hunt, where to hunt. And so for goose hunting, you usually go and you find the roost, you find out where all the birds are sleeping at night, where they're safe, and then you watch where they fly in the morning or the afternoon. If you can't get into where they are feeding, like you get turned down on permission, you go somewhere in between the roost and the X, and that's called traffic hunting. It's my favorite way of hunting just because it's really hard to mess it up, and pretty much any goose is a bonus goose. You know, whereas if you're hunting a feed of 500 geese and you only kill 4, you failed. So it's kind of like under promise, over deliver type of a deal. With traffic hunting, you will have a lot more success if you're really good on a goose call. And I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a lot of calling tutorials on our YouTube, but there's also a lot of really good callers on YouTube that teach people how to hunt and how to kill geese. I just suggest you use YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. People have frequently asked questions about calling in their story highlights. There's some unbelievable goose callers, much better than me, that can teach you so much on how to blow a goose call. But essentially all you need to know is a cluck, a moan, and you should kill geese. And then the last thing, if you're running a lot of full bodies or if you have a lot of silhouettes, it's really tough to throw all that stuff in the back of your pickup. And if you're like me, when you're young, you're driving a Cadillac STS 1999. And so you can't fit a whole lot of gear in the back of your Cadillac. You can either buy a trailer, which I've been trying to buy a trailer right now, and the prices are insane. So hopefully a family member of yours has a trailer that can sell to you for cheap or let you borrow, or you just always hunt with a bunch of buddies. And you guys can pool your resources together in order to have a good hunt, whether it's with your hide, your decoys, calling, all of that stuff. I would say that's really like the main equipment that you need is your blind, your calls, decoys, and then obviously be in the right spot. If you have a trailer, great, you can throw everything in there and keep it in there. Otherwise, you're gonna be stuffing the back of your truck, constantly cleaning it out and putting the stuff that you had in there before. I do that all the time. It sucks. And a lot of times there's hunting equipment when there should be construction equipment and vice versa. So don't be as disorganized as I am. But hopefully this helps you guys out in how to get into goose hunting and what you really need to get out in the field. You don't need to be a championship caller. You don't need to have all the decoys in the world. You don't need to have a full body spread. You don't need to have all this crazy gear. But as you get more and more into it, you just realize it's really nice to only have silhouettes when the field is really muddy and you can't drive into it. It's really nice. If you have an all full body spread and you don't want to carry them out one by one, you get yourself a jet sled so you can pull it into the field. There's a lot of little things that make your life a lot easier. So guys, if you want to learn more and you want to hear something from us on what we should do next, put it down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Kick, all of these platforms. Thanks for watching.